It's now too late to save many of Switzerland's glaciers. That's according to the findings of a new report. The research by the Swiss Academy of Sciences says the rapid reduction of ice caps as a result of climate change cannot be reversed, regardless of efforts to limit global warming.
Well, as we start off October, things are looking a little drier for a couple of days, but it has been a very wet September across the southern half of the UK. In fact, some spots towards the south of England have seen 3 or 4 times the average September rainfall. And it's not just been the wettest September on record for some places, it's also been the wettest month on record. There's been more flooding in Didcot in Oxfordshire here on Monday. More flood warnings in force as we head through the rest of the night, mostly for central and northwestern areas of England, where we've seen the heaviest of the downpours.
Good morning, both. Good morning to you too, John. I can tell you it's not Caribbean weather at all today, certainly not in terms of temperatures. Today what we have is a cloudy start for many. We've got a drier day ahead than yesterday for most. That wouldn't be difficult right enough, but there is still some rain around, particularly across parts of England. And here, of course, is where the ground is already flooded.
Good morning. More rain on the way today. And for those worst affected with the floods last week, the Met Office has a yellow weather warning in place for the home counties north of St Albans. Now, that's in place until 4 o'clock this afternoon.
But still an awful lot of rain out there, Carol. Morning.
That's right, John and Sarah. Yes, good morning, everyone. In fact, at the moment, the Environment Agency still have 64 flood warnings in force across parts of England. That number, of course, fluctuates as we go through the course of the day.
As you can see, this is something which is getting people exercised here in the southwest. As I say, this is just a trial, but it is something, it's one of the ways they're looking at changing the way people act. And it could be something, if it works here, that gets rolled out far wider.
Good morning to you too. For some of us, it's a cloudy, damp, miserable start to the day. There's some rain around. You can see that quite nicely here from our Weather Watchers picture in Lincolnshire. Good morning, Sarah and John. Good morning to you too. It's a really mixed day today. For some of us, we're starting off with some sunshine, as you can see from our Weather Watchers picture taken in Orkney.
And they dropped anchor here at the mouth of Belfast Lough.
Now this all matters because the purpose of trials like this is to see what works and what can be applied elsewhere. The results from here in the southwest could one day be affecting your water bill.
And we're enjoying a last couple of days of summer, as you can see, in the part of the world they call the English Riviera.
Yes, thank you very much. And we're still having a few concerns with some flooding issues, Sally. This was the scene in Godmanchester with the River Ouse overflowing its banks. Now, the number of flood warnings have come down across the southwest of England recently, but we've still got problems in the Midlands. And these are all new flood warnings across northern England that have been issued in the last 24 hours. Yeah, a bit damp in London. And actually, for those getting married at that site, just in the next few hours, the rain's probably going to get a bit heavier, I'm afraid. Today we've got still some flooding issues around parts of Cambridgeshire. The rain stopped briefly earlier in Marple, but the best of today's weather, the best of the sunshine is across Northern Ireland, where here in Portrush, barely a cloud in the sky.
Now, the weather's not so special. Of course, it is here. You're shaking your head.
No, but there's some good news on the way, Riz. I know today wasn't great, but there is some drier weather. Thank you. Good evening. Today, though, a lot of rainfall out there. Cloudy conditions, rather grey, especially this afternoon. We've had some heavy outbreaks of rain, rather gloomy scenes like this.
I'm at a farm in Surrey, which, despite getting a good soaking today, isn't one of the counties that broke its September rainfall record. But do tune in for the soggy details a bit later in the programme. It's a muddy start for this pumpkin season, which is already gearing up for Halloween.
And Alex is in Surrey for us tonight. And Alex, it may not come as much of a surprise to some, but September saw some record-breaking rainfall, didn't it?
Absolutely, Charlene. We're going to take a detailed look at that in just a second. But we are at Crockford Bridge Farm in Surrey, which is, of course, gearing up for its pumpkin picking season, which opens on Friday. And that'll be the case for many farms up and down. But let's just take a look at the display that they've been setting up all day today. These pumpkins are looking absolutely lovely, but do spare a thought for the pumpkins which are still in the field. When we got here earlier today, it was hammering down and it's made it quite muddy in the field. So these pumpkins perhaps not too happy, but it's actually these pumpkins pumpkins are also around 3 to 4 weeks behind schedule. In fact, this is the case up and down the country, and the blaming factor is the weather, the lack of sunshine that we've seen throughout the course of this year, particularly over the summer. But one thing that we haven't seen a lack of over the last few weeks is rain. In fact, it has been record-breaking in many places. In fact, some counties in England in particular have seen in excess of 250 millimetres of rainfall. So that has been record-breaking in some counties. We'll take a look at those in just a second. But in Scotland, say, it has been below average, so drier conditions here. But let's take a look at some of the wettest places that we've seen. And in fact, if you pick out somewhere like Wiltshire, which has seen in excess of 300% its average mean rainfall, it certainly has been very wet here. In fact, that record stood for 150 years. It's been smashed throughout the course of September out of many parts of the south. It's been very wet. Well, as we head through the next few days, there is some good news, at least. High pressure building, and it's going to start to settle down. There'll be increasing amounts of sunshine, particularly on Thursday. That's going to probably be the sunniest day of the week, and also Friday as well, not looking too bad. So that's the way it is looking this Tuesday evening. As I say, not all bad over the next few days, but we do have to prepare for that rain coming in for this weekend.